Houston. Pulling up stats, you'll be pulling in stacks. Hitting bookies from the back with no Vaseline. I need green and see quantities for a fiend. Save the dreams for a king. This is H-Town, home of the lean. Astros is the team and we rock it. We rock Texans for life, you can't stop it. Together like brothers and bets and jets.
Welcome, Sunday morning NFL Week 3 football plays and props. I'm your guy, LJ from H-Town. Top of the morning, guys. Sunday morning. You already know, got my coffee, got my water, and you know what time it is. It's time to go through this NFL Week 3 slate and see if we can find some money, ladies and gentlemen. So shout out to everybody who's watching live, who's watching on the replay, however you watching. Let's get into it, and let's see if we can get some money, as I do every Sunday morning, NFL Sunday. Now, we're going to jump right into it, guys. We got picks and we got props today. Didn't have a chance to do a show earlier this week. You know, things got in the way. But, hey, we're going to do it all this Sunday morning, go through every single game for today, and we're going to see if we can find some cash. So, let's start off with this game right here. We have the Los Angeles Chargers plus 2.5 road dog going out to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Total over under 35.5. And it's a reason why this total is low, ladies and gentlemen, simply because both of these two teams pretty much offensive inute, you know, for the most part, not scoring a lot of points. The Steelers only average 15 points a game. Chargers average 24 points a game, so they're in the 20s. But all in all, I just believe this is going to be a slow-paced game. Jim Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, you know, they both like to run the ball, establish the line of scrimmage, you know, dictate the tempo. And when you're looking at these two teams, we're looking at an under. I mean, the Chargers have gone under 14 out of the last 17 games. And both teams have combined to go 4-0 to the under in the first two games of both of these seasons. So definitely looking at an under in this game. I have bet it. You know, I just believe, you know, there's not going to be a lot of scoring. And I also believe the field goal kickers are going to come into play in this game. Dickers for the Chargers, he's had 5 field goals made in the 2 games already. And Chris Boswell's leading the NFL with 8 field goals made in 2 games. So not to mention both offenses punt a lot. You know, the Chargers have 10 punts so far in the season. And the Steelers are kind of undisciplined, you know, 24 penalties, second most in NFL. So that backs you up as well. So instead of going forward, you're going backwards, which give you a least likely chance to score as well. And the Chargers, you know, they've only allowed 1 touchdown in 2 games. Pittsburgh's only allowed 1 touchdown in 2 games. So when we size that all up, guys, we're definitely going to be on the under 35.5 on the Chargers and Steelers game. Not to mention, I have a prop. We're just going to stick to the field goal kickers. Over 3.5 field goals total in this game is at plus 110. So I think that's a good play. So both field goal kickers to get over 1.5. That cashes for, boom, we cash that prop. So we're going under 35.5 for the game. And we're going to take over 3.5 field goals plus 110 for both field goal kickers. All right, let's go to this one, guys. My hometown team, the Houston Texans, on the road, going out as a road favorite. -2, Vikings +2, home dog. Total is over under 46.5. Now, this started off at 45.5, which I betted. So this line has went up. And for the most part, I didn't pick a side. I just think both defenses are playing well right now in the first 2 games of the season. Both teams are 2-0 coming to this game as well. So very interesting game. I was leaning under just because I just believe both offenses are not going to take chances today just because of how the defenses have been performing on both sides of the ball. Stroud is 8-3 since the bye last year when he starts. So he's been money. We're all excited about the quarterback that we have. You know, we already know that. As far as the Vikings, Sam Darnold has played well in the first couple of games, you know, and like I mentioned, the defense, you know, has been attacking the quarterback. They have 11 sacks, 19 quarterback hits, and 4 takeaways in 2 games. So the defense has definitely been a cornerstone of the Vikings producing. They're averaging 25.5 points, 6 0.8 yards per play. Now, they have 4 turnovers in 2 games, and they're only have time of possession 26 minutes. So that lets me know if the Texans don't turn the ball over and they can establish their drives, keep their defense on the field, you can wear the Vikings defense down. So coming down late in the game, they may get tired, and we may have the advantages, to score or get field goals, things like that. But the fact that we went 4-14 on third down last week versus the Bears, who has also a nice pass rush, I believe that DeMeco Ryans is not going to take chances today. Joe Mixon is out already, our linebacker, and our backup linebacker, Damian Pierce is dealing with the injury as well. So I think C.J. Stroud's going to, have a lot of pass attempts, but I don't think he's going to put it in harm's way. Maybe some short passes, screens, just to be conservative today and not turn the ball over. I think field goals are going to come into play as well in this game, and we may win it on a field goal, or the Vikings can walk it off on a field goal. Either way, I don't see a lot of points, so I bet the under 45.5. It's now 46.5. And I believe I can still vouch for that. So we both, I will vouch for the under 46.5. And Fairburn, for the Texans, looking at him again, over 1.5 field goals. He's had 7 field goals made so far in 2 games. And like I mentioned, the under, first half under on the road for the Texans last year was 9-0. First half under for the Vikings are 14 out of the last 19 games. So if you want to look at a first half under, let's look at that number right now. That may be a good play too, just because I don't think it's going to be a lot of offense early. First half, they don't have the under for a first half on this book. They just got the under 22.5. My bad, plus 110. So under 22.5 plus 110 is the under for the total for the first half. It may hit right on it. It may not 22, 23, but I'm just going to stick to the full game under. It's at 46.5 now. And I'm definitely vouching for that one. So Texans, Vikings, under 46.5 is my play. Also, want to throw this out there. Stephon Diggs and Danielle Hunter for the Texans both used to play for the Vikings. So Danielle Hunter may get a sack today. Stephon Diggs may get an anytime touchdown. So those two you could be looking at as well. I'm not making them official. Just some props to look at throughout the game, considering the history of both these teams. Both these players playing for these teams. You know how players are. They like to go back to teams that they used to play for and show them that, hey, you shouldn't have got rid of me. So definitely going to look at that one. But as far as the play, under 46.5 is our play for this game. Shout out to the comments. Smart money bets. Early bird catches the worm, LJ. You already know. Up trying to get this money, guys. My man Dan, let's get that money. Yes, sir. Top of the morning, you already know. Early bird gets the first word, like my man Smart Money Bets say. So, all right, let's go back to this. We have the Philadelphia Eagles on the road, plus 2.5 road dog. Going out to New Orleans, take on these New Orleans Saints. The total is over under 49.5. Now, that's a high total, and we know why it's a high total. Because the Saints have been putting up points. First 2 games, Carolina and Dallas, they pretty much steamrolled them. Now, minus 2.5 favorite at home, it's kind of low considering how the Eagles have been playing, especially on their defense. Defense give up the 27th in points allowed, 30th in yards allowed, 25th in rush allowed, 28th in pass allowed. So defense is struggling, needless to say. And it's going back to last year, Same things that we're seeing, same things are happening now. They have 20 penalties on the season, so they're very undisciplined in that area as well. And when we're looking at Jalen Hurts' record against the spread the last 9 games, he's only 1-8. So Eagles definitely have been struggling, to say the least. As far as the Saints, they're coming out, like we mentioned, 2-0. They're 6-1 in the last 7 since week 14 of last year. And all the offensive numbers point to the Saints. Points scored, total yards, yards per play, third down conversions, red zone, they're 8 or 9. Turnovers, they only had 2. And time of possession, 33 minutes. And the defense, 14 points allowed. They've only allowed 1 touchdown, in 2 games. Points allowed, 210. Not points, passing yards allowed, 210. Rush allowed, under 163. Sacks, 7. 8 quarterback hits, 5 takeaways. They've had 5 takeaways in 2 games so far in this NFL season. So, all that said, man, I'm definitely going to lean towards the Saints. I haven't bet it yet, but when kickoff comes, most likely I am going to get to the window just because I don't think the Eagles can come in here and show anything different that they showed, especially last week, Monday night, versus the Atlanta Falcons. So they let the Falcons come back in the fourth quarter, walk them down, and win the game. Jalen Hurts and his coach has been having issues for the most part. He don't have A.J. Brown, which he doesn't have a good record when he doesn't have his receiver. And I think Saquon Barkley is getting a lot of usage, and I think these defenses are going to key in on him and make Jalen Hurts beat you through the air with the limited availability of players that he has. A.J. Brown is the big piece for Philadelphia, and if he doesn't have him out there, he's going to struggle. And Jalen Hurts doesn't have a great arm, as we know already. So Saints should handle business today, man. I believe they're going to establish the line of scrimmage, run the ball, play action. They have a new coordinator over there. Kubiak's son is over there now with Derek Carr, so he's probably opened up the playbook for him, giving him all type of opportunities to make plays. So I see the Saints taking business today. It's -2.5. I haven't bet it yet, but it's a heavy lean to the Saints. And some more numbers for Jalen Hurts. They're 3-6 since the bye last year, if you take out the Brazil game this year. And they're only 1-6 in their last 7 games versus the NFC when you take out that Brazil game this year. The only team that they beat was the New York Giants. So, hey, that says a lot. So, Saints, -2.5 is a heavy lean today because I just believe Philadelphia's defense is too vulnerable, and the Saints can definitely take a lot of opportunities and eat up. Derek Carr can definitely pick apart that secondary today. Let's move on to this one, guys. We have the Denver Broncos +6 road dog going across country to take on this Tampa Bay Buccaneers team. Buccaneers are -6 home favorite. Total is under 41.5. Now, when we're looking at this game, Denver, they have a lot of issues going on. First of all, they're 0-2. And they have a rookie quarterback, Bo Nix. And he's only averaging 13 points a game on offense. And he's going on the road again. He's already had a road start versus Seattle. They held the fight to the last minute. He ended up scoring 20 points. But this game, Tampa Bay, I think it's going to be a totally different scenario to the most part. I don't think the Broncos will be able to score 20 points in this game. They already give up more points than their score, so you already know we fade teams like that. Through 2 games, they're only 1-7 in the red zone, giving up 5 turnovers already in 2 games so far, and third down conversions, they're only converting 3, and total yards is 263. So definitely struggling on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, what do you expect from a rookie quarterback? You only could get so much in his first year, so I don't see how Sean Payton had any expectations early for Bo Nix. He may be his only choice to put him out there, considering they drafted him. But looking at Tampa Bay, they're 2-0. They've been playing very well. They just come off a win versus Detroit, even though they shouldn't have won that game. Detroit dominated that game, and they came out very lucky. They were able to win and pull it off. Kind of a revenge factor from last year in the playoffs. So, but all in all, Tampa Bay's averaging 28.5 points a game, which is top 5 in the NFL, 300 total yards. They're 4-7 so far in the red zone, 5.6 yards per play. So they've been playing decent, and they're 7-1 in their last 8 games since week 13 of last year. So Baker Mayfield has been winning, guys. I know it's been probably against some lackluster teams, but hey, he's been winning. So that's all you can say. If whoever you put out there, you win the game, hey, you did your job. And as far as a side in this game, I'm not going to bet a side in this game. You can look at the first half for the Broncos because they've covered the first half in both 2 games. Even though they haven't been scoring, they've covered both of those first halves. So, but not going to look at that. I don't trust Bo Nix, to cover anything, in my opinion. The Broncos also 14 punts, which is 3rd most in the NFL so far through 2 games. 21 penalties, which is 4th most so far in the NFL in these 2 games. So all that said, man, we're going to stick definitely to leaning Tampa Bay. I'm not going to bet it, but I am going to take a prop in this game. And we're going to go to Tampa Bay side. And we're looking at Chris Godwin, man. Chris Godwin, I'm going to look at his receptions. I'm going to pull it up right now in real time, simply because he's been money for these Tampa Bay Buccaneers so far. And let's go to player prop. See what we got up for Chris Godwin's receptions. We are looking at over receptions. Chris Godwin, he is at Chris Godwin, over 6.5 receptions plus 127. And the reason why they have it 6.5, simply because Chris Godwin has had 6+ receptions. Hold on, let me find it. I have it right here. Chris Godwin, 6+ catches, 5 out of his last 6 games. And the Broncos allowed Tyler Lockett for Seattle in the first game of the season to get 6 receptions, their leading receiver. Now, they raised it at 6.5. I'm not going to vouch for 6.5 because now he has to get 7. And I see why they raised it up, because he's probably going to get 6. He's probably going to end right at 6, which you will lose by that hook. Now, you can probably bring him down to, let's see if we got a double over here. You can take Chris Godwin's receptions plus the win. Let's see what they have. Chris Godwin, they have an anytime touchdown and Tampa Bay to win at plus 172, which is also a good play as well. So you can do a couple of things with Chris Godwin. You know, you can take him down to receptions. You can take him down to 6 and take the win. You know, however you want to do it. You know, just target Chris Godwin today. If you have him on your fantasy, I will put him in the mid-fantasy starting lineup today. You know, he's had 6+ receptions, 5 out of his last 6 games. And I don't think Denver Broncos are going to give any resistance today for Tampa Bay. They're on the road, and Baker Mayfield likes Chris Godwin. You know, he's one of his favorite players, and he's going to depend on him today as well to get some yardage and get some production. So definitely you can look at Chris Godwin today for the Tampa Bay Bucks in fantasy. But no official play on the game. We got my man Flea Mathis in the building. What's up, Flea? Morning to you, sir. Top of the morning. You know what it is. We're trying to get this money today. A lot of opportunities today to get. So we're definitely going to dive in and see if we can get some money, guys. All right, let's move on to this one. We have the Green Bay Packers on the road, +3 road dog, taking on these Tennessee Titans, ladies and gentlemen. And we have Malik Willis starting for the Packers today, as we know right now. Who knows? They may throw Jordan Love in there in game time, and we probably number would flip, and everybody would be in chaos. But hey, right now we have Malik Willis starting for these Green Bay Packers. And like we all know, he used to play for Tennessee. A lot of people are calling this the Malik revenge game. I don't think it is for the most part, because Tennessee Titans defense is good. And they know what Malik Willis can do. They had him on the team. So I don't believe he's going to come in here and do anything that's going to surprise the Tennessee Titans. Their quarterback isn't too shabby as well. Will Levis, you know, he's given up 5 turnovers in 2 games, you know, ranked 26 in passing yards at 137. He's only 4 yards per play, only averaging 17 points. And they're 0-2. So the Titans are in a desperate situation today. And I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled off this game and won, just because of the situation I'm in. So, like I just mentioned, 0-2. The total is 37.5, so it's a low total. And I see why, because both quarterbacks haven't shown that they can put up points, especially Will Levis. He turns the ball over. He makes bonehead decisions in crucial moments. And it cost the Titans in both games, in my opinion, because they easily could be 2-0. But the defense saved them, you know, in game 1, I believe. No, they didn't. I'm sorry. They lost to the Bears, right? Yeah, they lost to the Bears in game 1. And they just lost to the Jets in game 2 last week. So, yeah, Titans need to get them a win, but I don't trust Will Levis to do that. He's 3-7 since he's been the starting quarterback. And the Titans give up more points than they score. So you know how that goes. I'm not going to bet on a team that give up more points than they score. Now, Green Bay, I'm not going to bet on them either today, just because they're on the road outside of their conference. And Malik Willis is not the starting quarterback. Even though all the offensive numbers point to Green Bay to win today, I'm gonna stay off the side. The Titans defense has been playing well, like I mentioned. 206 yards allowed, which is number one in the NFL. 114 passing yards allowed, which is number one in the NFL. So their pass defense is nice, and I don't expect Malik Willis to come out here and pass on this defense. So they're probably going to run the ball with Brandon Jacobs and just, try to just play smash mouth football. And I think the total is going to stay under, and that's why it's under 37.5, in my opinion. But I'm not going to bet it. I'm just going to stick to a prop. And I'm going to take the kicker for the Green Bay Packers, Braden Narvison, over 1.5 field goals, because he's had 6 field goals made in 2 games. And we already know the heavy trend for the Titans. It didn't cash last week, but we're going to jump back on it again because I believe it's going to cash today. The Titans have allowed over 1.5 field goals, 19 out of their last 22 games, going back to last game of 2022. So Greg Zuerlein didn't cash this last week just because Aaron Rodgers wanted to score in the red zone. So not mad at that. I don't believe Malik Willis is going to be able to score today, especially when he gets into the red zone. Even if he gets into the red zone, I don't think he's going to score. I believe Braden Narvison is going to be an important factor today. Green Bay is going to have to depend on field goals to put points on the board, and they're going to have to depend on Braden to do it. So over 1.5 field goals for Braden Narvison, the field goal kicker for the Green Bay Packers, is my bet in this game. But as far as the side, stand away, because I believe the Tennessee Titans are going to play desperate today, and they're going to want to come out and win this game and not go down 0-3 for the season. All right, we got some comments coming in, ladies and gentlemen. We have the Jets motivator. What's going on, guy? What we said about the Jets? It's time to become a company franchise is right on the horizon. Hey, I agree, man. You got a quarterback now, so you can move the ball. The Houston Strouds, yes, sir. Big Show, what's going on, my guy? Oh, yeah, I'm up early, Big Show. Top of the morning, man. It's time to get this money. I don't sleep. Ain't no sleep for the weary, man, when you're trying to get paid, man. I got to get up, get the people some information that they need, so they can get some plays in the day before this noon kickoff, Big Show. You know what time it is, man. It's football Sunday, man. Best time of the year, best day of the week right here, guys. We already know. All right, guys. Let's move over to this one. We have the New York Giants on the road, plus 6.5 road dog, going out to the Cleveland Browns to take on these Browns. The Browns are, like we said, minus 6.5 home favorite. Total is over under 38.5. Sip some coffee. All right. When we're looking at this game, not interested in taking a side at all. I don't trust Daniel Jones, and I don't trust Deshaun Watson. The Giants give up more points than they score. Cleveland gives up more points than they score. So we're automatically fading this game. Not interested at all. Cleveland, 12 punts on the season so far. So they're not moving the ball. 26 penalties, most in the NFL. So they're undisciplined on that side of the ball. So all those factor in. Yards per play, 3.9 is ranked 30th. They're only converting 2 third downs a game. So nothing to say on the offensive side of the ball for Cleveland. Now, when we go to the Giants, they're averaging 12 points a game, giving up 25 points a game. So that's a definitely horrible ratio there. And 4.6 yards per play, which is ranked 25th. Not too much there. And 3 turnovers so far in 2 games. So Daniel Jones has definitely been struggling as well. Defense for the Giants, 368 yards allowed, ranked 26, 163 yards rushing allowed, which is ranked 28. Now, Cleveland's defense is probably going to be the determining factor today. They only allow 295 yards allowed. They have 7 sacks, 11 quarterback hits. They don't have a takeaway yet, though. So very important there. And when I'm looking at the Giants, Daniel Jones, since week 8 of 2022, is only 4-12-1, 2-6 on the road. So that's not good. And for that reason is where I'm going to stay away from this game. just because I don't trust either one of these quarterbacks. So for that reason, I'm not even looking at a side. Now, if you want to look at a prop in this game, I got an interesting look right here. I have Daniel Jones, pass completions, under 18 and a half. Let's see if that's still that number. Under 18 and a half plus 100 is what we have for Daniel Jones pass completions. And the reason why I have that is because the Browns are number one on defense going back to last year with opponents of completions completed. I believe it's right at 17, I believe, completions a game for the quarterback that the Browns had last year. And this year, they've allowed, who was that? Trevor Lawrence. He only had 14 pass completions in their last game. So I'm looking at Daniel Jones under 18 and a half. It's plus 100 now. I'm still probably going to bet it because, like I said, Cleveland's defense, they don't allow a lot of passing completions to the quarterback. And Daniel Jones, 2 road games versus the AFC last year, he went under 18 and a half pass completions. And he's played 9 career games versus the AFC on the road, and he's went under 5 times under that number, 18 and a half pass attempts. And he's also 3-1 to the under last 4 games, under 18 and a half pass attempts versus the AFC. So Daniel Jones doesn't play this team a lot. He doesn't play the AFC, so he's not familiar with the Cleveland defense. And I think they're going to make it confusing for him, make it challenging for him, and it's going to make it a long day. And I believe he goes under that 18 and a half pass completions. And I haven't circled, I haven't betted yet, but definitely looking at it for sure. Under 18 and a half pass attempts for Daniel Jones, but we're not taking a side in this game simply because I don't trust either quarterbacks in this game. All right, we got my man Ricky Bobby in the building. What's going on, sir? Hey, man, top of the morning, my guy. Trying to get this money, trying to get paid early morning. Get y'all the information so y'all have a couple of hours before kickoff to see what y'all want to do, see what plays y'all like, and see what kind of bets y'all can get in today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on to this game. We have the Chicago Bears plus 1 road dog going out to the Indianapolis Colts. Colts are a -1 home favorite. Total is over under 43 and a half. Now, full disclosure, this is my free play that I put out this morning. And we're on the under. 43 and a half, -110. I've already bet it just because both of these quarterbacks have been struggling, to say the least. First off, let's start with Caleb Williams, guys. Rookie quarterback going on his second road start. He just came off a road start last week versus the Texans, and he was running from his life, had a bad day, got hit a lot of times. So didn't have a nice performance there. And I don't think it's going to be anything different today. The Colts defense is probably not as good as the Texans, but I just believe Caleb Williams being on the road, he's going to struggle early parts of the season. And the fact that he does not have a passing touchdown so far in 2 games lets you know that he's definitely struggling in that pocket, trying to scramble out of rushes. And he has to learn how to stay in that pocket, move around, and read when the rush is coming instead of trying to make a play and then try to go out and try to scramble away from these tackles because he's getting hit. And he's running from his life pretty much all game, and it's going to be a struggle for him. He's only scored 1 offensive touchdown in 2 games, which was last week. They had a rushing touchdown, late in the third quarter, I believe. But total yards, only 176 averaging. He's only averaging 3 yards per play, which is worse than the NFL. 77 rushing yards, so that's under 100. And he's only averaging 99 passing yards, which is worse than the NFL. He's had 3 turnovers so far. And they've had 12 punts so far in 12 games. I mean, in 2 games. So, not a lot of offensive production on the side of the Chicago Bears. Now, when we go to the Colts, Anthony Richardson, not too much as well. He didn't give up a lot. He didn't have a good game last week versus the Green Bay Packers. He was on the road as well, so he's coming back home. But interesting enough, Anthony Richardson, he's only played 2 games so far outside of his division in the 6 career games that he's played. And his completion percentage goes down tremendously. Both games have been versus the NFC so far, which is the situation he's in today. He's had a 56 completion percentage and a 44 completion percentage in both of those games. So hasn't been doing very well. He's only averaging 18 points a game along with the Bears. Plays per game, he's only had 48, which is worse than the NFL. So he's not on the field to make plays. 3.5 third down conversions. So he's only converting 3 third downs. And 19 minutes time of possession, which is worse than the NFL. So he doesn't stay on the field to even have any opportunities to score the football. So that lets me know the defense is on the field a lot in these games. And for the fact that, the Colts defense, they give up 400 yards a game, which is second worst in the NFL. Rushing yards, 237, which is worst in the NFL. Now, they're only giving up 163 passing yards. So my thing is they're probably going to make Caleb Williams probably pass today because they have a bad rush defense. So if the Bears can establish a run game with Swift and Herbert, I believe, are their 2 backs. And Caleb Williams can take off and run. If he sees an opportunity to make a play, get a first down, he's going to do it. So that may be the way the Bears dictate this game is on the ground. And they should win the game. I believe the Bears can win this game. But the Colts are 0-2. They're in a desperate situation. But like I mentioned, they give up more points than they score. Now, the Bears are even. They average 18 points. They give up 18 points. So they're pretty much even keel right there. And the fact of the matter is that the defense of the Bears, I think, is going to be the determining factor. 6 sacks, 14 quarterback hits. They've had 2 takeaways in 2 games. And they've held 8 straight opponents to 20 points or less, only allowing 4.5 yards per play. So the fact that Anthony Richardson averaging 6.7 yards per play, which is top 3 in the NFL, but that could come back down to progression today because the Bears defense is good, and I believe they can contain Anthony Richardson. And not to mention, both field goal kickers are a good look today as well. Santos, over 1.5 field goals, simply because the fact that the Bears cannot score offensive touchdown, Santos is their leading scorer so far in 2 games. He's hit over 1.5 field goals 9 out of his last 10 games going back to last year. So, and the field goal kicker for the Colts, I believe, can get over 1.5 field goals. Because Anthony Richardson, 6 career games that he's played, I just mentioned, 5-1 to the over 1.5 field goals when they're in that situation. So Santos definitely could be a play today because he's the leading scorer of the Bears. If you don't believe the Bears can put up any points offensively through Caleb Williams, Santos should have plenty of opportunities when they get down into the Titans field. They should be able to kick a field goal. So Santos over 1.5 field goals is going to be a prop I'm taking today. But far as the side, I've already bet it. It's my free play up right now under 43.5 minus 105 is the play today in this game, Chicago Bears versus the Indianapolis Colts. My man Ricky Bobby, what's good? I appreciate the early looks. Hey, man, I appreciate you for watching. That's why I get up to do this, man. I get up this for the people. Everybody gets all the information that they need so we can go out and make our sound decisions today so we can get some money. All right, let's move over to this game. Trash game, if you say the least. Carolina Panthers, +6, road dog. Going out cross country. Take it on the Las Vegas Raiders. And the Raiders are a home favorite, -6. Home favorite over under 39.5. Now, let's look at this game. Let's see if the numbers are still good on this one. -6. Yep, Raiders are -6 home favorite. Still, total is 40. Went down. It was 40.5. Went up. I'm sorry. It was 39.5. Now it went up to 40. And it closed at, it was 40.5 at one point as well, but now it's back to 40. -110 both sides. So, okay. When we're looking at this game, I got a prop in this game, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But I don't have a side just because we already know the issues the Carolina Panthers are dealing with. They just benched their quarterback, their #1 draft pick, Bryce Young, last year. But hey, it's not his fault. The Panthers haven't established any pieces around him to be effective. So it's just a situation that the quarterback always takes the blame, because he's the most prominent position on the football field. So Bryce Young is going to have to take that hit. But we all know, true fans, true people that understand sports knows that it's not all his fault because they don't have the pieces around him. So what can he do? He only can do so much. And the general manager for this team has an issue with this. He has history. He got rid of Sam Darnold. He got rid of Baker Mayfield. Look what those guys are doing right now with their other teams. So we don't believe it's just the quarterback, man. It's the whole franchise organization as a whole. Now, when we break down Carolina, probably the worst offensive team, probably the worst team in the league, but definitely worst offensive team in the league so far. Probably the worst defense too, but offense, they're worst in points scored. He's only averaging 6.5 points a game. Worst in total yards, 176. 3.5 yards per play. 74 yards rushing, 102 yards passing. 4 turnovers so far, 23 time of possession, which is second worst in the NFL, and they've had 12 punts so far in 2 games. Carolina has scored 13 points or less, 10 out of their last 12 games. They've lost 10 straight first half against the spread, and they give up more points than they score. 36 points allowed, which is worse than the NFL. 364 total yards allowed, ranked 25th. 199.5 rushing yards allowed, which is ranked 31st. So they're giving up 200 yards rushing on the ground, guys. That is ridiculous. Now, the passing is 164, but I don't believe you have to pass the ball if you can run the ball on them. Why would these teams pass the ball if you can run on them? You just stick to what's working. And their rush defense is horrible. Ranked 31st, almost 200 yards rushing a game as they allow. So we're definitely not looking at any type of situation for the Carolina Panthers. Now, the Raiders, they also give up more points than they score. And yards per play, 4.7, rushing 49 yards a game, which is ranked 32. They also have given up 4 turnovers in 2 games. But they keep the ball longer, 31 time of possession. So that's probably going to be the difference in the game. The Raiders are probably just going to hold the ball longer than the Carolina Panthers. The Carolina is making a change. They're bringing Andy Dalton in, the Red Rifle, to see if they could get some offense going. But it's probably going to not be any difference. He's probably going to move the ball better down the field before it's scoring points. He's probably going to be the same. He may get a touchdown or a field goal more than what Bryce Young can do. But all that said, I don't have a play in this game just because both offenses and defenses are at the bottom of the league. Now, the Raiders are 8-2-1 against the spread with Antonio Pierce since he's been the coach. But I don't trust Gardner Minshew. He is the better quarterback if you look at it statistically wise. But like I mentioned, both these teams give up more points than they score. Both teams cannot run the ball or stop the run. So those things right there puts me off of this game completely. But we are going to look at a prop in this game, and we're going to look at the tight end for the Las Vegas Raiders. Hold on, let me get to it. We're going to look at, what's his name? I think it's Bowers. Let's look. Yeah, Brock Bowers for the Las Vegas Raiders. We're looking at his over 50.5 receiving yards. -114 is what I have so far. And the reason why we're going to do that is that he's been the most productive on the team so far for the Las Vegas Raiders. Gardner Minshew trusts him a lot. And just to put some numbers with it, he's had so far in 2 games, he's had 98 yards and he's had 58 yards. And they have it at 50.5. So, not to mention his receptions. He had 9 receptions in game 1 in Baltimore. Well, no, last game in Baltimore. And he had 6 receptions in the first game. So let's see where his reception's at. Because we make it double up in this game, ladies and gentlemen. Receptions. Brock Bowers. What we got? Brock Bowers receptions over 4.5, minus 149. Juice. So 5 receptions and over 50.5 yards should be a good play for Brock Bowers. Just because I mentioned Gardner Minshew, he loves this target. And he has 17 targets so far on the season, one behind Devontae Adams at 156 total receiving yards. So I believe Brock Bowers over 4.5 receptions, minus 149. And we got his receiving yards at over 50.5, minus 114. Those are some great looks today for this game because we're not interested in the side. We're not interested in the total. Let's stick to what's been consistent. And what's been consistent is Carolina Panthers defense is trash. And Brock Bowers has been consistent enough to pick apart this secondary. And I believe Gardner Minshew will be looking for him today. So even on fantasy, if you have him on your fantasy team, start him today. Brock Bowers for the Las Vegas Raiders. Take his receptions, take his receiving yards. Hey, take his anytime touchdown. Hey, all of those can be a good look. But to make official, I'm going to be on his receiving yards over 50.5, minus 114, because he's hit this number in both games so far. My OG in the building. Y'all already know my man Trot Wham in the building. He's up. We're getting ready to do a show right after this one. So make sure y'all tune in to Who Bangin' Sports on YouTube. The script. I'm going to be on with Trot Wham, putting out our best plays, going through the schedule, and seeing what we're going to do to get this money. Yeah, he is a top leading tight end today. I definitely see that, and that's why he's on my list. Well, for sure, my guy, for sure. All right, let's go to this one, guys. Interesting game right here. We have the Miami Dolphins on the road, going cross country. Long flight. I believe that's the longest flight as far as NFL, because Miami is down in Florida. They got to fly all the way up to the north, go to the west, all the way up to the Seattle in Washington to take on the Seahawks. Miami is a plus 4.5 road dog. Total is sitting at over 41.5. Now, let's see if that total is still accurate. See if the numbers has changed since today. Where we at? Miami, Seattle. Miami and Seattle. 41.5 is still the total. And we have, yes, still plus 4.5 for the Dolphins. So Seattle's a home favorite today, guys. They're 2-0 coming into the game. They've had one home game. They beat Denver. They had one road game. They went out and beat the Patriots in overtime last week to pull off that victory. Now, when we're looking at this game, Miami, they're starting their backup, Skylar Thompson. He's been on the team. It's not like he's a new player on this team, so he knows the system. But the fact that it's a backup kind of gives me pause. And they're only averaging 15 points a game, and that was with Tua. Now, going out to Seattle may be a struggle for them. 16 penalties for 153 yards is what Miami has produced so far in 2 games. So they're very undisciplined, in my opinion. But Miami may show a different type of game plan today. Because I know a lot of people are probably going to be on Seattle's side because you're looking at a backup quarterback with Miami. But like I just mentioned, he's been in this system. And I wouldn't be surprised if Miami come out and cover this 4.5, guys. I would not be surprised at all. Not to mention, when we're looking at Seattle, Geno Smith with Seattle. He's 5-2 at home versus the AFC when he starts. So he's played well in the situation. They're averaging 24.5 points. He's only gave up 2 turnovers. Now, when they get into the red zone, they're only 1-4. So that lets me know that they're kicking a lot of field goals to score points. And 96 yards rushing, that's under 100. So they haven't been establishing the run game. Kenneth Walker was hurt. So I believe that's one of the factors as well. And they also have had 10 punts so far in 2 games. So they don't move the ball a lot as well consistently. And Seattle can't stop the run or run the ball. Averaging under 100 yards rushing, they're giving up 142 rushing yards on the ground. So we have A-Chain today. It's one of my plays. I took his anytime touchdown today just because Seattle has allowed a rushing touchdown in 14 straight games going back to last season. Now, also, I'm looking at Tyreek Hill today, anytime touchdown, just because he's had a touchdown on the road 10 out of his last 12 games going back to last year. Now, I believe Skylar Thompson will be looking at both of these players simply because these are the top 2 players on the team as far as scoring-wise, and Tyreek may be a sneaky play to get a touchdown. It could be a short yardage touchdown. It could be a screen touchdown, and he take it 70 yards for a touchdown. It doesn't have to be a long pass. We know Skylar Thompson is not going to be airing it out today for the most part. He's just going to probably play, a low-risk game, not turn the ball over, and just try to pick his spot and get the ball to the playmakers in short yardage and let them make the play. And if they take it all the way to the touchdown, then, hey, they take it to the touchdown. So I believe those are easy possibilities in this game. I'm leaning Miami plus the 4.5, to be honest with you. I haven't bet it. But to make official, I'm on A-Chain's touchdown, and I'm on Tyreek Hill's anytime touchdown. I'm on both because I believe that's the only 2 ways they're going to be able to score. If I cash one and don't cash the other, I'll be satisfied. But I believe Cole and Harley, one of these players is going to score today. I don't know how they're going to score it, but I believe either A-Chain is going to get a rushing or a receiving touchdown. Tyreek could get a rushing or a receiving touchdown. Who knows how dynamic Tyreek Hill, he can get it in all facets of the game. So all that said, those are my 2 props. I don't have a side. I'm leaning heavily towards Miami to cover this game, but I just want to sit back, wait it out, see if I feel confident later on to make a play. But other than that, I'm just going to pass on the side just because Miami has to fly cross country to Seattle. So I just got to see how they're going to respond. No Kenneth Walker today. Okay. So, yeah, Seattle's going to be limited on the offensive side. Oh, not to mention, they also have an anytime touchdown play. Charbonnet, he's the backup running back, I believe, for Kenneth Walker, Wham. And I believe he's going to probably have an opportunity to catch a touchdown today. He's had 2 touchdowns. He's had 1 touchdown in each game. So he's had two touchdowns so far on the season. So he definitely could be a play today. So anytime touchdown for him as well is a good look. But official, I'm on A-Chain and I'm on Tyreek. Anytime touchdowns today. All right, let's move on to this one. We have the Baltimore Ravens on the road. Road favorite. Let's see if they're still a road favorite. It's right at 1, so you might as well just say it's a pick 'em. Going out to the Dallas Cowboys to take on Dak Prescott and these Cowboys. Yes, Ravens are still a -1 favorite on the road. Total is under 48 flat. I have over 47.5 right now. It's moved up 0.5 point to 48. Now, both these teams coming off losses last week. Cowboys came off an embarrassing loss. I mean, the Saints went into Cowboy Stadium, Arlington Stadium, Texas Stadium, whatever you want to call it, and they pretty much dominated and spanked the Dallas Cowboys from the opening start. They didn't have a chance in this game. And simply because of Alvin Kamara. And that offense has changed on the Saints side of the ball. But as far as the Ravens, Lamar Jackson, he has great history versus the NFC. As you know the numbers, he's 20-1 straight up versus the NFC in his career. He's also 18-1 against the spread versus the NFC, covered 8 in a row. So Lamar Jackson has been playing very well versus this NFC. Now, for as the Cowboys, I mentioned they're just coming off a horrible loss. And statistically, we know that you take teams off an embarrassing loss, especially on national TV, just because they want that taste out of these fans' mouth. Recently, what they saw, they want to change that memory very fast. So I know that the Cowboys are going to want to come out here today and show a better game than what they showed last week versus the Saints. Cowboys are also good off a loss, 12-3 against the spread off a loss since 2021, which is number one in the NFL in that span. Now, one thing that gives me caution in this game, both teams give up more points than they scored so far in these two games. Now, the Cowboys game, that stat is kind of misleading because of how many points they gave up versus the Saints. You see what I'm saying? So it took that to they're giving up 30.5 points on defense, only scoring 26. The Ravens are averaging 21.5 points. They're giving up 26.5 points. So all that said, I think I'm going to be on the Ravens. And simply because I just believe they're the more desperate team and they're favored for a reason, even though it's a short favorite. I believe the bookies are saying that the Ravens are going to come out here and want to win this game. Now, you can look at them early. First half is minus the half plus 105. And I'm going to take that. And this is the reason why I'm going to take that. Because Lamar Jackson on the road, going back to last year, 8-1 against the spread in the first half on the road in his last 9 games, going back to last year. They didn't cover the first half on the road Thursday night versus Kansas City in the first game of the season. But all last year, every road game that he played last year, he covered that spread in the first half. And I believe he's going to cover it in this game. Now, winning the game is different because Dallas can probably come out in the second half, make adjustments, and be in the game. They have an excellent field goal kicker, which I'm also taking today, Brandon Arbery. I'm taking this over 1.5 field goals because he's had 8 field goals made so far, which is tied number 1 with the field goal kicker for Pittsburgh. They both have 8. And that's the way Dallas scores. Dak Prescott is not that quarterback that's going to drive down the field, pick apart your defense, and score. He relies on his defense to make plays for him, put him in great field position. That way, they can either score a touchdown or kick a field goal. And more than likely, Dallas Cowboys, they're going to settle for their field goal because they're going to put points on the board. And Brandon Arbery can kick you a 60-yard field goal to get you those points. So I see this game going in that way. The Ravens have 23 penalties, which is third most in the NFL. So they have to clean that up because if you're getting penalties, that means that you're going backwards instead of forwards. So until they clean that up, that's going to be an issue for them. They are averaging 417 total yards, which is number 1 in NFL. So that has a lot to probably do with Lamar Jackson, making plays, scrambling, running for the first down. And his anytime touchdown is definitely live today. Considering how the Cowboys give up rushing touchdowns, they give up the most rushing touchdowns to the running back. And if you want to consider Lamar Jackson a running back in the backfield, you can definitely do that. So Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, anytime touchdown versus the Cowboys are definitely good looks today. But I'm making the field goal kicker for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm making that official. Over 1.5 field goals for Brandon Arbery. Simply because that's the only way consistently the Cowboys can score, in my opinion. Not to mention, they're 1-7 as a dog in their last 8 games. Granted, it's a short dog. They're still a home dog today. So if you lean to the Ravens, I'm not mad at you. I believe they probably will win the game, but I'm going to stick to the first half. So my official play, Ravens first half minus the half, plus 105, Brandon Arbery, over 1.5 field goals for the Dallas Cowboys are my 2 official plays. But I definitely have a heavy lean to the Baltimore Ravens winning this game just because I believe they're the more desperate team. My man Jace Thompson say the Ravens will win. Hey, I agree 100%, but just a lean right now. Didn't make the bet. I may make it early. I may make it later, considering this is a 3 o'clock game, I believe, so I can look at the early game, see how my money's looking. Boom, I may jump on those Ravens for a full game, but I'm definitely on them for the first half for sure. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go to this game. I have a play in this game. We have the Detroit Lions on the road, favorite, -3, taking on these Arizona Cardinals. Cardinals are a home dog. Total is sitting at 51.5 is what I have on my banner. But let's see if that number has changed. No, it's still at 51.5, -110 both ways. And that's what we're going to be looking at today, guys. We're going to be looking at that. We're going to be on the total. And this is why. The Cardinals at home, massive trend to the over. Number one in the NFL since 2022, 11-5-1 to the over, hitting at 69%. Now, we see the numbers that the Cardinals have been putting up so far in 2 games. They played Buffalo very tough. They could have pulled off the win, but hey, they scored 28 points. Hey, last game versus the Rams, divisional rival, they wanted to make a statement considering how vulnerable the Rams are on the injuries. They put up 41 points. So the Cardinals have put up 69 points in 2 games so far, averaging 30.5 points. So number 2 in points scored, 34.5. Yards per play, 6 yards. Red zone, 5 of 8. 33 time of possession. So they are holding the ball, they are running the ball, and they're making plays and scoring. So that's all that you can ask for your offense. Kyler Murray, hopefully he's coming in this game, he can stay healthy, because I believe if Kyler Murray stays healthy, this offense is going to be very potent. He has the offensive pieces that he needs. James Conner, he has in the backfield, which giving him a great run game. He has Marvin Harrison Jr., a nice big receiver that can go up and get the ball if he throws it up and make plays. And he has an excellent field goal kicker in Matt Prater that can get you a field goal if you get into the red zone and can't quite convert. He can kick you a 50 to 60 yarder as well. So all those offensive opponents are working for the Cardinals. So I believe they're going to keep establishing that side of the ball. Now, when we move over to Detroit, coming off a loss versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which they surely should have won that game. They outplayed them in every single category except the red zone, which they were 1 of 7. And that's what's hurting Detroit this year. They're only 3-11 so far total in the red zone. And when you get down there, you have to score points in this NFL. You keep kicking field goals, you're not going to win any of the games. And they're number 2 in total yards, 413, 72 plays. So they're on the field making plays. It's just converting those plays into points is what Detroit has been struggling with. Now, coming off a loss, they've been money, especially since 2022. 7-3 against the spread, off a loss since 2022. First half is a good look as well, because 12-5 against the spread in the first half on the road since 2022. 13-5 against the spread on the road overall since 2022. So they play very well in this spot. But when they go out to Glendale, they haven't been so much having any luck. I think they're 3-9 against the spread in their last 11 games going out to the Arizona Cardinals in Glendale. So these teams do have history. Both these 2 teams can put up points. And that's where I'm going to go. As a prop, we're going to look at James Conner, anytime touchdown. He's had it in both games. So fantasy, you can look at James Conner. You also can look at Marvin Harrison Jr. You also can look at his anytime touchdown, because I believe he had one last week, and I believe Kyler Murray is going to continue to look at him as a target to get some plays for him. But we're going to look at this prop. I'm looking at the tight end for the Arizona Cardinals, and his name is Trey McBride. Over 5.5 receptions, -103. And the reason why I'm going to look at this, because I believe Kyler Murray is going to depend on Trey McBride to get him out of situations, kind of be a little safety net right there if the other reads aren't open. And I believe Trey McBride is an established tight end for that team. And the fact that he's second in catches in that team so far, He's had 6 receptions last week versus the Rams, and he had 5 versus Buffalo. So the fact it's at 5.5 minus 103, I believe it's a good look. I believe, like I said, Kyler Murray is going to be looking for him throughout the game, especially if Marvin Harrison is covered. And let's just say Detroit is limiting him on the rush game for his James Conner. Kyler Murray is going to want to find his tight end. And I believe Trey McBride will cash that over 5.5 receptions because I believe he could get 6 versus this team. The Cardinals can move the ball. And it's just all about their defense stopping Detroit, especially in crucial situations. They're only allowing 298 yards allowed so far, 207 passing yards. So the defense has been playing competent for the most part. But let's see if they can keep it up because the defense gives up a lot of points. And hopefully that's changed. Keep Jared Goff limited. Get an established pass rush on him. Hit him because he doesn't like being hit. So if you hit Jared Goff, throw his timing off, he's probably not the same quarterback. And I believe the Cardinals probably can take advantage of that, make him play off his launching point, and make him throw the ball up, make some turnovers. Because if the Cardinals can get turnovers today, they will very well be in a position to win this game. But as far as the play, we're going over. Detroit is averaging 30 points the last 4 road games going back to last year. And like I mentioned, the Cardinals are averaging 34.5 points so far in these 2 games. That puts you at a 64 total. So that's the reason why I'm jumping on this over 51.5, because I see a lot of points today in this game because I believe both teams are going to want to try to win this game. Both offenses are capable enough to put up points. And I believe the fact that both of these teams have history with each other, I believe it's going to be a lot of points. And I see both these teams putting up over 51.5 points to go well over that total. All right, let's go to this game. Divisional game right here. We have the 49ers on the road going out to L.A. to take on these L.A. Rams. Rams are at plus 6.5 home dog. Total is over under 43.5. Let's see if that total is still the same. Over 43.5. Let's see if we still have this one. Over 43.5. Yes, 43.5 is still the total in this game. Now, I don't got much to say in this game. The Rams are injured. We already know. And their defense is giving up more points than they score. They can't stop the run or run the ball. They're giving up 426 yards a game, which is most in the NFL. So the Rams have a lot of issues going on right now. And the 49ers are coming off a loss versus the Minnesota Vikings coming into their division. I believe that they're prime and ready to get back on the schneid, get them a win, and take down a division foe that's wounded, very, very wounded right now. Rams only averaging 15 points a game. 49ers are averaging 24.5. And the fact that all the offensive numbers point to the 49ers, they're coming off a loss. They have the ball 36 minutes, and they've only had 3 punts in 2 games. So they're moving the ball for the most part. And Kyle Shanahan, 17-9 against the spread versus the division since 2020. He's 10-4 straight up versus his career versus Sean McVay. So he owns this team. He probably doesn't like McVay as much. And he wants to continue to establish that dominance and that pecking order that he has over this team. Now, first half, team total for the 49ers is, 13.5 plus 100. And I'm going to take that 13.5 plus 100 because I believe the 49ers can score 2 touchdowns in the first half and go up. And the fact that it's minus 3.5 is very short. Now, I'm not going to take that because they could be up by 3 and I lose by the hook. But it could be a 14, 10 game, whatever the case may be early on, and it hit right there on it. But let's just say it's 14-13. I lose. But if the 49ers can give me 14 points in the first half, I believe I'm confident in that. It's plus 110 even money. So, hey, I feel strongly about that. So I'm going to just settle for the team total for the 49ers to go over 13.5 in the first half. I believe the 49ers will win the game, but I'm not going to take a 6.5 spread just because this is a divisional game. And the history of Sean McVay, he likes to cover the spread going back to last year versus this team. I believe it was the second game of the season, I believe, and Sean McVay kicked the field goal to cover the spread, knowing he wasn't going to win the game. But the fact that he did that last year, he's always going to be my man. And I believe he can cover the 6.5 if he's desperate enough to do it, just because to show Kyle Shanahan today he can keep up, even though the vulnerable pieces that he have, he's injured, man. And I can't bet on the Rams in that situation. So I'd rather take the 49ers early, coming off a loss as well. Take them early over the team total. 13.5 is my play officially for this game. All right. What we got? Rams, Niners. My man Jets said, no Saints are the new greatest show on turf. It's just probably the first two games. My Rams dub today. Oh, my man Jet Motivator say he's on the Rams today. Interesting, sir. Interesting. Hey, man, if you feel confident in it, I cannot talk you off, guy. Cannot talk you off. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have made to the last game. Sunday night, we have the Kansas City Chiefs going on the road to take on these Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons are a home dog, +3, over under 46.5. Now, Kansas City, first road game of the season. They're 2-0. They won both their home games. They barely squeaked it out versus the Bengals last week, and they barely squeaked it out versus the Ravens in game one. The Chiefs could easily be 0-2. They were saved by a toe versus the Ravens, and they were saved by a pass interference call on defense versus the Bengals to pull out that victory. So Kansas City has been teetering towards a loss these first two games, but I don't see that in this situation. Even though the Falcons are coming off a win Monday night versus the Philadelphia Eagles. That was more about the Eagles to me, defense, opposed to the Atlanta Falcons offense. Kirk Cousins over there now. They're only putting up 16 points a game. And this is one of the teams that give up more points than they score. Granted, they're only giving up 19.5 points, so that's under 20. They've only allowed one touchdown a game in the first two games, but they can't score. 16 points. So for that reason, I believe Kansas City definitely will be able to pull off this victory. The Falcons are only averaging 24 minutes time of possession. Third down, they're only 4 of 18 so far. So they struggle to move. And Kirk Cousins is a pocket passer, so he doesn't scramble out. So if you could keep him contained, make him make plays, he probably will take a chance to make a turnover. You know, he's going to depend heavily on the run game with the B.J. Robinson, in my opinion. And they're just going to try to beat up the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs are wounded too. Just announced this week that Isaiah Pacheco is going on the IR, season injury, with his knee. And the fact that he's out of that game, I don't know how Patrick Mahomes is going to respond without his backup, his running back. Even though Patrick Mahomes is the GOAT, in my opinion, right now in the NFL, he's the guy that you have to beat. He makes plays even when he doesn't look like he's going to make a play. So all that said, this opponent, the Falcons, I don't think that he's too concerned for the most part. It is a short number, -3, but he is a road favorite. And when Kansas City is on the road, they cover the spread more so if they're at home, if you know the history of Kansas City. And the fact that Patrick Mahomes is 11-5-1 against the spread versus the NFC since 2021, I believe he covers this 3. But I'm not going to take it because I just believe, I've won on Kansas City last week, and I'm just going to stay off this week just because it's an NFC team. I like Kansas City more in the AFC for the most part. Not to say they can't win this game, but I just think some fluky stuff could happen today, and they could win by 1 or 2 points on a walk-off field goal, just like they did last week versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Kansas City defense, they only give up 129 rushing yards, 5 sacks, 14 quarterback hits, 2 takeaways so far this year. So the defense has been playing well, keeping them in games, allowing Patrick Mahomes to have opportunities to win the game in the last sole possessions of the game in the fourth quarter. So I can easily see that happen today, but I also can see the Falcons staying close, making this a good game. But I believe Kansas City pulls the win off, but it may not be by 3. Now, one more thing for the Falcons. 6-17-1 against the spread in games coming off a win versus 2021. Now, this is a different quarterback. We all know that. But for the most part, we're going to stick to Kansas City to pull off the game on the money line, but not making it official just because I believe some fluky shit possibly can happen in this game. All right, man. We have came to the end. All the games we went through today. Now, to give y'all a recap, I'm just going to go through it. I'm on the 49ers. First half, team total over 13.5 plus 110. And also, I want to make this official. I'm taking their running back, Jordan Mason, anytime touchdown, simply because he's had a touchdown in both games. And the Rams give up the most rushing touchdowns to the running back so far in the season. So let's continue just to ride that trend. So 49ers team total over 13.5 in the first half. And we're on Jordan Mason anytime touchdown for the 49ers. Detroit and the Cardinals. We're going to take the over 51.5. I just believe there's a lot of points will be scored in this game. Not to mention, I'm taking over 5.5 receptions for Trey McBride, the tight end for the Cardinals, because I believe he will be an important piece today in that offense. Kyler Murray is going to look for him to bail him out in situations, short yardages, and things like that. So Trey McBride, over 5.5 receptions today for the Cardinals. And we're on the over 51.5. Ravens and Cowboys. Brandon Aubrey, over 1.5 field goals for the Dallas Cowboys. That's the only way the Cowboys can score consistently, in my opinion. And I'm taking the first half for the Ravens, minus the half, just because Lamar Jackson on the road, 8-1 against the spread in the first half, his last 9 games going back to last year. And they lost the first half last week versus the Raiders. I believe Lamar Jackson is going to come into this game, knowing the history he has with the NFC, he's going to be locked in. He's going to want to have a good performance today. And I think the Ravens come out strong early and cover that first half versus the Cowboys. Miami and Seattle. We're on props in this game. We're on A-Chain anytime touchdown. We're on Tyreek Hill anytime touchdown. And the reason why we're on those is because Tyreek Hill, 10 out of his last 12 road games, he's had a touchdown. And A-Chain, the Seattle Seahawks have allowed a rushing touchdown 14 straight games. So both those two players are live today. I'm taking both. Even if one catches, I'm still cool with that. But definitely on A-Chain and Tyreek Hill anytime touchdown versus the Seattle Seahawks. Carolina Panthers and the Raiders. We took a prop. Brock Bowers, over receptions and his receiving yards. I think his receptions is 4.5, and his receiving yards is 50.5. We took both just because Gardner Minshew likes him. You know, they drafted him for a reason, and he's the second leading receiver behind Devontae Adams on that team. So I believe Gardner Minshew will be looking for Brock Bowers consistently today. You know, he's gotten great production from him so far. So let's continue to ride that production with him today. Over receptions and receiving yards for Brock Bowers. Move on to this one. We have the Bears and the Colts. I'm on the under, 43.5. It's my best bet today. I've already put it out as a free play online. And I'm taking the field goal kicker for the Bears, Santos, over 1.5 field goals, because he's had over 1.5 field goals 9 out of his last 10 games going back to last year. And like I said, Anthony Richardson, every game he's played, the opponent that they've played has kicked over 1.5 field goals 5 out of the 6 games that he's played. So excellent trend there. Santos over 1.5 field goals for the Bears, and we're on the total under 43.5. Giants and Browns don't have a play in this one. We're leaning towards a prop, Daniel Jones under 18.5 pass completions, just because the Cleveland Browns last year were number 1 in opponents' completions allowed. And they held Trevor Lawrence to 14 pass completions last week. And I believe that they can hold Daniel Jones under that 18.5 simply because Daniel Jones hasn't played Cleveland in his career. It's an AFC team. He's not familiar with this defense. And he's very limited on the offensive side of the ball as well. And he's on the road. All those components factor into me. The Browns dominating on defense today, keeping Daniel Jones limited with his possessions. And he definitely, I'm leaning under 18.5 pass completions for Daniel Jones. Green Bay and the Titans. I'm on the field goal kicker for Green Bay. Over 1.5 field goals, just because the Titans defense does not give up a lot of yards. Number 1 in the NFL, 206 total yards. So if the Green Bay Packers are going to have a chance to score in this game, they're probably going to have to kick field goals. And I trust their field goal kicker. He's had 6 field goals made in 2 games. And the Tennessee Titans have allowed 2+ field goals to the opponent 19 out of their last 22 games. I believe that's an excellent trend. We're going to keep riding that trend until they show us that they're stopping these field goal kickers. It didn't cash last week, like we mentioned, but hey, I feel confident today. Usually, if you don't cash your prop week in the first week, you come back the next weekend and cash it. So I'm very confident in that. Over 1.5 field goals for Braden Narvison, the field goal kicker for the Green Bay Packers. We got Denver and Tampa Bay. Already mentioned Chris Godwin. We're going to take his receptions at 5, and we're going to take Tampa Bay to win the game. I'm also going to take his touchdown and Tampa Bay to win the game. Just because Brock Bronix on the road again, it's coming cross country. Not a good situation, in my opinion. You know, they don't put up a lot of offensive points on that side of the ball. And I think Baker Mayfield has been playing well. Denver is not is a lower tier opponent, you know, for the most part. And I believe he will have, you know, he established some offense today. And his main guy, he's going to be looking for it, is Chris Godwin. So we're going to take his anytime touchdown. You can parlay it with the win, or you can take his 5+ receptions and Tampa Bay to win. Any way you want to do it, put Chris Godwin on fantasy today. However you want to do it, he's the play today. I believe he will cash. So Chris Godwin, fantasy today, anytime touchdown, receptions, all that. But I don't have a side just because I don't believe in Bo Nix. And I don't believe they can cover. Saints and the Eagles. Definitely leaning towards the Saints. I didn't have a play, but an interesting prop today in this game could be Rashid Shaheed, you know, over receiving yards. Let's see where that's at, because he's had a lot of receiving yards so far in the first 2 games. Let's see what that's at. Receiving yards for Rashid Shaheed. They have him at over 51.5, minus 114. He's averaging 84.5 receiving yards with 2 touchdowns so far. He has the most targets on the team for the Saints so far. And the Eagles allow the 2nd most receiving touchdowns to the wide receiver. And he's a dual back. He can run the ball and catch out the backfield. So, hey, him and Alvin Kamara are excellent pieces for Derek Carr in this offense that has now established with Kubiak's brother. And Shaheed Sharif over 51.5 receiving yards is a great play, in my opinion, and his anytime touchdown. So all those are good looks. But official, I'm going to be on the Saints minus 2.5. I believe they take care of business. The Eagles are struggling on defense, and I don't see them showing anything different today that they've showed so far. So Saints minus 2.5. Rashid Shaheed over 51.5 receiving yards are the looks in this game. Let's move over to this one. We got Houston Texans and the Vikings. I'm on the under 45.5 just because I believe both quarterbacks will be limited today, considering how both the defenses have been playing. I also lean first half under just because the Texans first half under on the road last year was 9-0. First half under for the Vikings have 14 out of the last 19 games have gone under in the first half. So first half under is a good play, but the full game under is what I'm on, 45.5, because they can start off fast and score some points in the first half, but then die down in the second half and not score at all to still keep that total under 45.5 for the full game. And that's what I'm confident in, under 45.5. Now, as far as props, we're looking at Stephon Diggs, anytime touchdown, because he used to play with the Vikings. And Daniel Hunter, get a sack on Sam Darnold because he used to play for the Vikings. Now, on the other side, you can look at Justin Jefferson. He's been dealing with the injury, but hey, he's had a touchdown in both games as well. So, a long pass here or there, he could easily get one. So definitely Justin Jefferson is a good look for a touchdown as well, but I'm not making that official. I'm going to stick to my side of the ball, and I'm going to take the under 45.5 for this game. Last game, Chargers and Steelers. We're also on the under 35.5. Both these teams have combined to go 4-0 to the under in their first two games. The Chargers are 14 out of the last 17 games has gone under. And Pittsburgh can't score. Only 15.5 points they're scoring on offense. Their field goal kicker has 8 field goals made so far this season. The kicker for the Chargers has 5 field goals made so far this season. Both these teams have only allowed 1 touchdown in 2 games. So all that said, I'm on the under 35.5 full game, and I'm on my prop over 3.5 field goals total in this game, plus 110, because I believe both field goal kickers will be a factor in this game. And that's all we have, ladies and gentlemen. So happy that I was able to get up this morning, get these plays out for y'all. And like I said, couple hours, go over to Who Bangin' Sports on YouTube. The Script, Trot Wham, and I will be live going through these plays again. He's going to give out his best play. I'm going to give out my best plays. We're going to look at some games, dissect them even more, look at the injury report, see who's injured, who's going to be available today. All those things that we're going to go over today, guys, right before the noon kickoff, so we can get some money today on this NFL Sunday, as we always do, guys. Once again, thanks y'all for tuning in. Go like, go subscribe, go share this video, go tweet it out, go share it, retweet it, do all those things that everybody can see how we're going to get some money today. So until next Sunday, I'm LJ from H-Town. And like I always say, guys, let's keep catching.
Yeah, R-A-W, words being served, no concern and no trouble to get that dough. Money on my mind, if it's money all the time, we be pumping on the grind. If it's LJ from Houston, pulling up stats, you'll be pulling in stacks, hitting bookies from the back with no Vaseline. I need green and upsea quantities for a fiend, save the dreams for a king. This is H-Town, home of the lean. Astros is the team and we rock it. We rock Texans for life, you can't stop it. Together like brothers and bets, injects cash in your pocket.